Hey, YouTube, Gordon Miller here. Mm, for some reason, I can't upload my thumbnail. My guess is that my language, my use of tobacco products, and my use of alcohol has restricted me from being able to go live. So we'll see how many people will be able to join me at this point. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well today. Mm. I did a segment on YouTube Live or on Instagram Live earlier, and Instagram seems to have more um, direct followers, which gives me a chance to interact with more people. So if you've got some questions, I'm happy to answer the questions now. Um, yeah, thanks for that. I'm enjoying going live. I'm going to go live more often. Try to go live at least once a day. And well, thank you for the respect. I appreciate that. I'm not sure that it's due, but mm, I appreciate everybody who follows me. I'm up to 184,000 followers now on Quora on my space for the Truth Unfiltered, and I have done a number of videos. I'm up to over 120 videos now on YouTube of content, but unfortunately, my even though I've got 5,000 or so followers, my content isn't viewed very often. So I think I'm going to go live more often on Instagram. So it's about let's see, what time is it? So it's about 3 o'clock, 3:20 Eastern time. So. Mm, Talked about trying to go live at least 2 or 3 times a week, right between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern time. I know that's the middle of the night for some of the folks who follow me, so I appreciate that. And I apologize. I'm having to switch hands here. I didn't bring my tripod down with me, but so I'm sitting out on the back deck here, enjoying a beautiful afternoon, and with a delightful Cohiba Red Dot Gigante Black Edition, and also an adult beverage, as well as some water to stay hydrated. So I went out and got some groceries and went to run a few other errands while I was out, and I'm certainly glad to be home. Mm, it's crazy out there, so I'm actually enjoying the lockdown. This isn't a whole lot different than my regular life, except as I had said to somebody the other day that I really miss going to my favorite restaurants for lunch. That seems to be the highlight of my week that I didn't really appreciate. So the guys at Hondo's here in Richmond, folks at the Boathouse, and Casa del Barco. Charles, hey brother, good to see you, man. Well, I have a question. What is the best advice you can give someone in the computer? Whoops. Well, I missed the question. How do I get the questions back? Nah. Oh well. What's the best? Ask your question again. Unfortunately I can't read up fast enough. It seems to go away. It's not like Instagram, which has this whole live thing down. So, what's the best advice I can give somebody in the something? I'm gonna try to go live 2 or 3 times a week. Answer your questions. Computer science that keeps jumping from programming language to because he feels having to follow the trends. Well, so okay, great question. Thanks. So you know what the problem is you don't understand the reality is that a programming language is just a tool. It's no different than a Phillips head screwdriver and a flat blade screwdriver and a Torx wrench and a hex wrench and everything else. They're just tools. And so, unfortunately, that's the shit you signed up for. I mean, if you think that whatever language you learned is going to last any longer than maybe 10, 15, 20 years, you are sadly mistaken. I mean, the system that we designed 20 years ago for the Army at the Army Training Portal, we designed in Java when I said, look, XML is really where it's going to be at. And we even tried an alternate version showing what that's like. And my second company, Harmonia, built an XML enabled version of what it is we were trying to do. And the Army said, you know what? Nah, we don't think XML's the way to go. Java is going to be the way to go. Well, the Navy, thank God, thought that XML was the way to go, and my second company, Harmonia, is now doing about 60 million a year thanks to XML and their investment early on in that. So it was. It was clearly the way to go. And we've seen .NET come and go. We've seen Python come and go. Not really go, but it's still around. But there's always some flavor. Now AWS is really popular just in terms of a platform. So you're in short pump too, Jerry. Good. I'm a freshman at Hopkins studying biochemical engineering. Wondering what you recommend. Ah, Jesus. Uh, so so Jerry, can you post that again? I cannot seem to. How do I see the chat on this thing? This is ridiculous. So anyway, uh, make your questions shorter because I can't read fast enough to see it before it goes away. But by the way, wondering what you recommend I spend my quarantine time doing. So, Jerry, and your last name is Zhang. So, do you know any other languages other than English, like maybe Mandarin? I actually recommend that people learn a language or learn a computer language or learn anything they don't already know, something that's marketable. We are the most arrogant people in the entire world. Everybody I do business with, I can speak Chinese but not read or write. Okay, well that's fine. That's good. That's really important, Jerry. So, but you understand the United States is the most arrogant group of people in the entire world. We believe the entire world revolves around us, and guess what, guys? It does not. So, everybody I know in business that we do business with internationally, you're going to need to know one. You need to know at least two of three languages. Hmm. Sorry, I have to hit this before it goes out. So you're going to need to know two of three languages in order to survive in the next 20 years. You're going to need to know um, Chinese, English, and Spanish. You're going to need to know two of those. If you know all three, you will absolutely crush it globally. There is just way too much business in South America and in parts of Europe in Spanish and Portuguese, actually, as well. But you're also, the Chinese market is an enormous market. And if nothing else about this coronavirus bullshit, it's proven how important China is. They manufacture everything. All of the N95 masks are made in China. I don't care. You may think that stuff's made in Detroit, Michigan. Well, I got news for you. Most of it's not. So, but yeah, third modeling software, 3ds Max. So 3D Max is a great platform to know. I would, Unity game engine. Right now, man, everybody's stuck at home playing games. If you have a game that has one upgrade for 99 cents, investing rather than stocks, investing in market. Okay. I'll get to the investing stuff in a minute. So if you are on the Unity platform, if you learn Unity and come up with even some crummy 2D game that you can play like one level of and then unlock like nine other levels of for 99 cent, a million people would buy your fucking game. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, anybody who doesn't make $1 million in this environment is just not working hard enough. I mean, it's a no-brainer in terms of what to do. I mean, there is stuff out there that anybody can do, and the reality is you just have to apply yourself. Learn a language, learn a computer language, build a game, learn a platform. 3D Studio Max is a great platform. Mm. So is Unity Engine. All that stuff is great. Well, there you go. So the good thing is too is that you don't have to learn it all in terms of let's see, not about the language, it's about the first principles of programming. Pick up the language in a day. That's true. So, what do I think about Django? I am frankly not up personally on as much of that. I mean, we have a lot of technical folks that work with me that thankfully have the opportunity to keep up with all that. So, hmm, I don't have to know every language myself, thank God. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. But the Hello from Serbia. Thank you very much. So I don't keep track of every language. I'm not sure about Django versus a bunch of other stuff, but certainly it's one of the things that we've used in various projects we've worked on. So But so best books on investments. So in my YouTube channel here, I actually have the 40 books that everybody should look at, and they're in two groups of 20 books each, and they're the list isn't outdated, but the list is several years old. And there have been some good books since, but those books are classics. They still stand. So they're the ones that really contributed the most to my success over the years, and they can help you as well. All right. Do you think there's an opportunity for a remote networking platform? Yeah, of course. I mean, look at how the remote stuff is working these days. Did you read the Personal MBA? It's a high quality, cuts down a lot of BS. Yeah, I actually was in the publishing game early on in the process, and hey, Albania, how you doing? So I was in the publishing process. I actually co-authored or tech edited four books early on, including a book called The Digital MBA. So a lot of the books on various MBA strategies I have a lot of love for. I like that. You think you're underpaid as a software developer, less than 20,000 a year, but you have 1 year of experience. 20,000 a year where? What part of the world? I mean, 20,000 a year in New York City is, taking advantage of you. 20,000 a year in the country of Georgia is something else. Mm. In Cyprus, well, Cyprus has really had some serious economic pressure. What you should really do is get connected with some folks that do some offshoring, try and connect some of the stuff in Cyprus to some opportunities elsewhere in the world. We've used developers from all over the world. I frankly don't. I don't use people from certain places just because they're harder to work with time wise. But I love the group of developers we've used from Ukraine, and there's been some great developers in Georgia. It's not about MBA actually; it's about core knowledge of business, first principles. Well, that's good. I mean, obviously, your master's in business administration is about core principles in business too. So, I mean, it's the sad thing about most MBA programs is that they talk about the fundamental principles of business in academic theory, but not actual practice. The last 30 years that I've spent in business is like a PhD in business as opposed to an MBA. So, mm, the reality is you learn a lot more by putting those theories into practice over 20, 25, 30 years than you do by reading a book about theory of that. So it's all about practice. Yeah. So, well, good for Josh. I don't know Josh's work, and I don't know specifically that book, but let's see. You seem concentrated on innovative technology, business ideas. You think any of the money mature industries with simple, down to earth businesses? Yeah, no, I mean, there's lots of ways to make money. I mean, uh, mm, just look at how people have had to innovate during this, global coronavirus lockdown. There's still a number of people making significant amounts of money in standard service businesses. I mean, look at all the restaurants that never thought they would do delivery, and now they can only do delivery. And now DoorDash and a bunch of those, Uber Eats and those guys, DoorDash is crushing it. I mean, people that never thought they would ever order from DoorDash, that's like your only way to get food without leaving the house. So I got news for you. That's kind of the way things are going. So good for them, man. I respect that. But all right, we got like 14 people online. That's mm, if I ever learn how to use this interface, it'll be great. Any other questions? No. All right. Food delivery website startup company made good amount of money here. It's something that works. Yeah, no, it's true. One last question: what kept you motivated all these years? For me, the motivation is really about making the various deals. It's not the money. Money's just kind of a really shitty way of keeping score. Frankly, the more money you have, stacked up, the less you're really putting that money to work for you. So I've always tried to continue to keep my money invested in opportunities and leverage those opportunities into other opportunities. So the a lot of people that I know that took a lot of money off the table, you're also missing a lot of opportunities by doing that. So for me, the thing that keeps me motivated is helping people, and also it's actually doing the deals. Yeah, so I mean, building long-lasting relationships with clients and friends, that's a good one, for sure. I mean, my LinkedIn network is coming up on 8,000 people all over the world, and I love it. I could probably go to any country in the world, and somebody on my LinkedIn channel or on my LinkedIn network is there, and I've gotten offers to stay with folks if I want to visit and things like that. So for me, it's just a matter of when I go to London or when I go to Paris or when I go to wherever. It's been nice. Yeah, so I'm not a huge stock guy. I mean, right now, I'm of the opinion that stocks are on sale. Things are down 30, 40%. Stuff will come back, even airline stocks and everybody else, even the cruise ship stocks. So do I still post to Quora? Yeah, I post to Quora every day, but like I posted on my Instagram live earlier, do I use Reddit? No, I'm not on Reddit at all. I pay to be on Medium, but I'm not actually on Medium yet. Uh, let's see. How can I contact you aside from email? I guess your inbox is full. Yeah, I don't check email. Haven't checked it in a long time. So you can, if you want to message me on Instagram or something like that, I'm happy to, or LinkedIn. I'm on either one of those, and I'm happy to. If you post your comments, I'll try to reply to them here. But typically, if you want to go to gordonmiller.com, you can always book a session, and I'll be glad to talk to you for an hour. So, mm, but no, I mean it's there's lots of opportunity out there, and I think for me, the thing that I've really enjoyed is the last really 35 years. I mean, I've been doing this since I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day. Really, I started in even though I started the company in '93, which we've been in business 27 years. I actually started with my work at the university. Um, back in 1988, 89. So 90 is when my stuff really started to take off. So it's been 30 years. I don't invest in stocks because I think that private equity and a bunch of other stuff is really more beneficial. If you look at my investing in stocks video, I tell you to invest in an index fund of the market for the Dow or the S&P 500, and I think that's the best way to go. I mean, I think that anybody who tries, if you take a look at the last 70 years, if you had invested in an index fund of the Dow and the S&P 500 and split 50-50 between the two, you would have made more money than 90% of the other people who paid brokerage fees and had some broker figure it out for them. So the biotech industry, I mean, biotech is a good industry segment. I mean, it just depends. I mean, I have a bunch of friends with products and companies in the biotech market. So why do people still use Facebook? I don't know. I gave up Facebook after so Facebook is where the over 35 crowd hang out. By now, it's probably the over 38 crowd. But I gave up Facebook after the 2016 election period. I hate it. It became so filled with hate. I don't need that much negative energy in my life every day. So I was not interested in being a part of Facebook anymore. I still have my stuff on Facebook. Mm. My stuff that I post on Instagram post to Facebook automatically, but you will not find me on Facebook. About the only thing I use Facebook for now is if you go to facebook.com/Gordon Miller, is my personal page. But I mean, I use that to keep in touch with friends and family. If you go to facebook.com/, Gordon Miller III for Gordon Miller the Third. That's where the business or group page is, so you guys can follow me. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't like Facebook. I mean, I prefer this type of stuff. I like going live on video. I actually like Instagram live because I can somebody can ask to join. I can actually have a conversation with people. We did a thing the other night where somebody joined me and we answered some questions and things like that. YouTube is just really kind of dying for me. So, how's my health? Take us through your diet. Yeah, let's not talk about my diet. I think the Dow and S&P will give similar long-term returns the next 50 years. Well, yeah, of course. You know, um, I think this 30% or 40% drop is just temporary. I think this stuff is going to go back, come back like gangbusters as long as people don't do something really stupid. So it's like having this stuff on sale. I mean, so the question is, I posted on Quora that I don't invest in India because of some really, there's like 10 significant problems with India that I just really, have trouble with. And yeah, I still do not do any investments in India. I mean, I really don't. I mean, there's corruption, there's lack of access to, stable power, there's lack of access to critical, healthcare, there's lack of road infrastructure. It takes 4 hours to go 10 miles across some parts of India. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be addressed. So, that's also why I don't do a lot of projects in parts of Africa as well. I mean, South Africa has probably been an exception, and I have friends in Ghana that I'm looking at stuff, at. But other than that, there's a good chance that India and Africa have a lot of opportunity, but I'm just not up for it. What's the upcoming trend in tech? Well, the upcoming trend in tech for me, I think, is going to be is the focus on blockchain and artificial intelligence, and that's why I'm working with Daniel Mazer from Mazer Tech, and he and I are working on about a half a dozen projects together right now, and he and his team have just won a major competition, and they are doing some phenomenal stuff, and all the stuff they're doing for me is outstanding. So I love it. He's been a great partner. Mm. I'm sorry for the shakiness. I'll make sure I get my tripod the next time. But let's see. Any other questions? My my diet. I love it. No, I mean, I tend to eat. I'm allergic to a bunch of stuff, just in terms of, somebody asked about my diet. So it mostly consists of fish and chicken and vegetables. I try to minimize my carbs as much as I can. I've gained some weight back during the lockdown because I can't go to the pool every morning. So, without the ability to exercise, I mean, I have really serious arthritis, and about the only thing that I can really do on a regular basis is swim. So, unfortunately, without until we put a pool right there in the yard, it's there's not a whole lot of opportunity for me to swim on a daily basis without heading to the gym. Well, the gyms are closed, so a month with no ability to swim, that's certainly taken its toll. So I'll get back down to where I normally am, once the gyms open back up. But all right. Anybody else? Which sector and application are you seeing a benefit for AI? Mm. So I wish I could tell. Do you have an opinion about additive manufacturing? I'm not sure I understand additive manufacturing, so um, I'm not familiar with the terminology. So um, the if you can clarify that, I'll be glad to comment on it. But I mean, I think that at least from what I'm doing right now, AI is we're using AI in healthcare to match patients with better outcomes. We're using AI in education to look at how people's learning styles match up with opportunities. There's really a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I've talked about it on some of my Instagram live stuff, and I've talked about it in some of the other videos that I have on YouTube. So I'll have to do an actual segment about that. Oh, 3D printing. So, okay, so 3D printing is additive manufacturing. Okay, well, so I mean, both my kids have 3D printers, and they're 3D printing stuff all the time. The so some innovative website ideas you have in mind. So as far as 3D printing goes, the best example of that I've seen is what Daniel Mazer and his team at Mazer Tech are doing. They have a commercial application where they're actually it has a Raspberry Pi kind of base that has a bunch of other components in it, and they ended up 3D printing their boxes for that. And it's actually a pretty good solution. Break into the venture capital and software arena. Yeah, venture capital arena is easy. I mean, if you want to become a venture capitalist, all you need is I don't know, like 50 to $100 million. So it's great. It's but no, I mean, the venture capital space you know, is full of lots of people who, are very cautious with their money. They fund very few deals. I've had the good fortune to work in the private equity space with some really great people, and I enjoy doing that. I worked in the angel investment space. Mm, with some people that pretty much would invest in anything. So I mean, I got thrown out of one angel investor group because I was critical of the fact that they would throw, like 25 people would throw $10,000 at just about anything. And I'm like, don't you guys have like a process? Jesus Christ. I mean, you guys are just throwing your money away. Fuck. I mean, it's so they're like, we don't really like your negative energy. Well, I got news for you. Every one of those deals you invested in that I was critical about all lost money. So there you go. I mean, I'm sorry, but I was right. All 22 of those times that you guys invested that shit, and you guys ended up losing 200 grand of your own money on stupid shit you should never have invested in the first place. So sorry, but I was right. So, I don't like, being in a group of a bunch of idiots anyway. So, all right, guys, we're coming up on 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end it unless there's another question of some sort. All right. Well, 28 minutes. I'm sitting on the back porch enjoying an adult beverage and a cigar. And I'm at the halfway point on my cigar, at least. But glad to take questions. Glad to see you guys. I know everybody's doing their best on lockdown, and I appreciate it. So, what's my best advice for my 20-year-old self? Well, you know what? My 20-year-old self, I wish that I think I had mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I wish I had learned two or three languages. I wish that I had learned more. I wish I had paid more attention to biology and chemistry, which seems to be the root of everything. And I wish I had traveled more in my 20s. I mean, I worked, 16, 18, 20 hours a day in my 20s, and it's largely responsible for getting me to where I am now. But I tell you what, I wish I had taken some of the money I made, traveled the world, seen every country before I was 30, rather than now. I can, if I get invited to go somewhere and I want to go wherever it is, then that's great. But I'm 55. I would rather have seen all those places at 25 than 55, and I would. It probably would have changed a lot of my perspective on things along the way as well. So, um, so so don't worry about paying a low-paying job beginning of his career. No, no, what you make, So I have always said that people that work for me, at least, can make as much as they want. There is no limit on their income. They just simply have to prove that they have significant value to the company. And I have a rule that in an average company, the amount that somebody makes is usually about 50% of the amount that they make the company. The company has overhead. The company has a need for profit. There's at least a 30 or 40% overhead, and there's at least a 10% profit that is needed. So if you're going to get paid 100,000 a year, then you need to make the company $200,000 a year. If you're not doing that, then you don't deserve any more money. And we've had guys that have made over 300,000 a year working for me, and that's because they made the company over $600,000. And you know, they deserve to make $300,000. When I was billing my time, I would bill my time out, and I made about $400,000 or more for the company. So I was making $192,600 is my typical salary, but I was making about $400,000 a year for the company. Anybody who puts in the time, puts in the effort, and wants to make the money, if you work hard enough and you make that much money and you're with the right company, there's no limit to what you can make. Invest in yourself, invest in new technologies, invest in actually making the company money. I had one guy come to me, and I think I did a video about this, but I had somebody come to me and they're like, hey, I need to make $10,000 more, or I'm going to go get another job. And I was like, all right, well, here, let's pull up the time tracker and see how much you made for us last year. Okay, well, you had a 2,000 hour requirement, and you were only here 1,650 hours, and you only billed 1,250 hours of that. So technically, you owe me about $20,000 just off of what you made last year. So I tell you what, since you weren't here most of the time, and of the time you were here, you weren't actually billing much time. You know what? You write me a check for 20,000, and I'll increase your salary by 10,000. And he was like, "Can I just go back to my desk?" Yeah, you can go back to your desk. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the way that works. But here, let me let the dogs back in. Here, guys. What do I think the future of sales? Here, repeat the question again, so that what about the future? Whoa, whoa. See you guys.